Today we are going to make something called Kisuri, or some people call it Kitcheri, some people call it Kicthdi, depending on where in South Asia you're from, but I'm Bangladeshi, so we call it Kisuri. Now growing up, our parents said this dish is going to make you big and strong, and they're not wrong because it's got rice in there, it's got lentils in there, and it's delicious. And because I'm going to be releasing this during the time of Ramadan, which is basically fasting for us people, it's very hearty. It's very good to eat on an empty stomach. But here's the problem with growing up in a brown household. You have this idea in your head that you're going to eat kebabs on an empty stomach when you're fasting. And the next thing you know, elderly Uncle Hassan will come and say, oh, yeah, I had a heart attack last week, man. What the hell you expecting? I thought your heart was going to give him 5 years ago, if I'm honest with you. My expectation of you was low. No one needs to know that. But basically, this is why we want to eat things like kisuri and lentils on an empty stomach, so we can avoid premature heart attacks. Get it later on in life, not when you're 40 years old. You know what I'm trying to say? Okay, let's get into it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pour out 2/3 of a mug of rice. I use mug measurements, you can use cup measurements, but 2/3, and then the other third we're going to get some red split lentils, also known as masoor dal, and we're just going to go and wash that 3 times, about 3 to 4 times, until the water runs clear, and then I'm just going to let it soak. And then in the meantime, I've got plenty of garlic here, big fat chubby ones, if I'm honest with you. Got, let's see, 1 2 3 4 5 6, and then we're going to fast chop. Can you see them skills? And then next we got 2 onions. Now they're quite big, these ones, but again you can do medium to large, but that's fine. Now we're going to save 1 onion for the actual kisuri dish, and then the other onion for the tarka, or basically we're going to fry the onions. Now obviously because they were like 2 big fat dobber onions, I kind of went to put half aside. I didn't need that many onions, so 2 medium onions work fine. I'm just separating it out there, and we're going to start cooking this entire thing. So you're going to put this pan on heat, and we're going to throw that soaked lentil and rice mix straight in there, and also get all the extra bits that are left behind, man. Can't be wasting them. Now I didn't really soak it for too long, if I want, maybe 10 to 15 minutes. You don't really need to, because you're going to be boiling it like this. So this kettle that I've got is 1.7 liters. I poured out the entire thing of boiling water. Why boiling? Because I'm not going to sit there with cold water and then bring it all up to heat. Anyways, you're going to put a big dollop of ghee in there, and a bit extra, because we love ghee, don't we? And then 1/2 of the onion stuff going to go straight in. As you can see, this thing is still like on heat. It's coming up to heat. A large pinch of salt. When I do pinch of salt, it's like that. It's like with my hands. Like I don't do like between fingers. And then garlic and ginger block. Now I'm only going to put 1 in. Now I also cooked garlic before, but that's going to be for the tarka, but I'm going to fry it with the onion separately. So then you're going to put in 1 teaspoon of turmeric. Give it a good mix like this. Can you see rapid speeds? And then we're just going to let it cook off for a bit. Now we're going to let this simmer for 30 to 35 minutes on like a medium high heat. And in the meantime, oh guys, look at them flipping slippers, man. After about 10 minutes, I'm going to put some green chilies in there, and also 3 to 4 bay leaves. Now you can actually cut open the green chilies, but I like it a bit mild, and if I want a bit of heat, then I can bite into it. So you can let this cook off for 35 minutes ish. That was the mark that I got, to 35 minutes. That worked for me. But you can do it on like a medium high heat. If you need to drop the heat, drop it, because obviously water might dry out and it might not be at the consistency you want it to at yet. I'm looking for this like a soft porridgey consistency, and it took me about 35 minutes ish. Now at this point I realized I needed a bit more water, because it was drying out, but the rice wasn't soft where I wanted it to. So I added 1 mug, which is 300 ml. So overall I've added 2 liters of water. You know what you call that? You call that very complex mathematics right there. Anyways, once you've done all of that, I'm gonna let this cook off. Now can you see them bubbles that are appearing? Can you see them bubbles? That means it's at that gravy consistency, like quite thick, like a curry consistency, almost, like I said. But when you're at that level, it's gonna spit a lot. So you wanna look. Can you see it going absolutely wild? So you need to either use a splatter guard, but also my rice wasn't still done yet, so I added like another 200 ml of water. And how do you know if your rice is done or not? Well, you want it to kind of be puffed up but falling apart. You don't want it to be that thin. That's my consistency that I like. Yeah. Anyway, I threw this splatter guard on, did another like 5 minutes. And you got to be careful at this point as well, because it can actually burn, stick to the bottom, because it's quite thick. It's not watery, it's thick. Can you see? So you need to give it a good stir, a good mix, and it basically, now I'm at where I really want to be. Now what I also did at this point was, I thought I want like broken down a bit more. So I got like a masher, and I mashed it. What else do you think I was going to say, man? You flipping mash it with a masher, innit? So you mash it a bit, and now it's at the perfect consistency. At this point, it's just silky, man. It just, look at this, it's silky and beautiful. Now also you can see that it's not dry, it's not overly thick, it's like a good, that's what you want it like. Once you get to that point, you're going to put this entire pan to the side, and we're going to get started on the tarka, or the fried onions and the garlic. Now even though I just said that, I'm also going to put like some cumin seeds in there. This is optional, guys. You don't have to put this in, but I like putting it in. Now you're going to cook this off for about 20 seconds. So you got about, what, 2 to 3 tablespoons of oil. You could probably do less if you want. You're going to put the other half of the onions in, And at this point, we're just going to stir it and cook it. Now, we're not going to move it around too much. Don't add any salt. Also, add a bit of ghee because we love ghee, man. But don't add any salt because the salt is going to break it down. We want it to fry up and crisp up. So I'm just going to let this cook and then until it starts looking like this. At this stage, you're going to put the sliced garlic in. Give it another stir and then let that cook off for a bit. Now, don't let the garlic burn. You want everything kind of browned and golden. Like this. Now, I just want to let you know that I cooked all of that on like a medium heat. At this stage, when you're here, guys, it is ready to mix in to this dish. So you're going to put it in and then you're going to mix it. Do you know what I'm trying to say? At this point, you're going to do like a taste test and then adjust the salt. So you can see that the kisuri has kind of thickened up a bit because it's been sat there for about 10 minutes. And this is what happens with the kisuri. It will do because of the starch. But anyway, this is the final product, guys. And that's it. And that's about it, guys. That's the kisuri done. Now I'm going to share with you a few tips and tricks on how to make this entire thing perfect. So the first thing is I actually use basmati rice, but you can use any sort of rice. It works. The best rice you can use is just basic long grain that fluff up and get like very plump. Because basmati rice is like finer. That makes sense. So it's good for like pilau and biryanis and things like that. But for things like kisuri, which is like a soupy dish, you want like a plump long grain. The second point I want to make is don't leave the entire thing going on cooking for way too long without stirring it because the rice will stick to the bottom. The rice lentils will just like float to the bottom. Floaties, man. They're not floaties actually. They're going to the bottom. And they're going to stick to the bottom. And I made that mistake once where I left it and I just went to chill. And it burnt. Stuck to the bottom. It was not good. It didn't taste good. I had to bin the entire thing. And I don't like wasting food. The third thing is I cook this entire thing on like a medium-high heat. So there's high heat, there's medium, just in between. And that is perfect for me. But sometimes I might drop it. So if it's overly bubbling, what you want to do is just like drop the heat if you need. Stir it, whatever it is. You don't need to put the lid on. But if you do want to put the lid on and prevent any splattering, you can either get, this splatter guard, or you can just like put a pan lid on like halfway. That's not ideal, obviously. Splatter guard is preferred because this is not going to only help you with soup dishes like lentils and things like that. It's going to help you with curries as well. And the final point I'm going to make is that you can obviously adapt this and you can increase the serving size, but just be mindful of the water because when it comes to rice, it soaks in a lot more water than like lentils, so you're going to be using a lot more water. In this recipe, what I tend to do is if it's not got to the consistency I want it at, I basically just add more water, but I add boiling water to make my life easier so I don't have to bring it back up to boil. Do you know what I mean? I don't know how the science works there. You put boiling water in a pan just to bring it back up to boil. How the hell thermodynamics happen from the kettle to the pan where it loses so much heat? But other than that, that's about it. Also, guys, I just want to reiterate that my curry cookbook is out. It's called the Curriculum and it's basically for people like me that want to cook something once and then enjoy it across 4 or 5 different meals with like rice, chapatis and things like that. Very efficient cooking. So it's linked in my profile, also in the description. Go get it, you won't be disappointed, and I'll see you in the next video.